I'm Dennis Hunter, and this is One Human Journey. During this session, I'm going to lead you through a very simple but very effective meditation practice, training in mindfulness called shamatha. Shamatha is an ancient Sanskrit word which means calm abiding or peaceful abiding. So what we're doing in this practice is essentially training our minds in learning how to stay present and focused in what's actually happening here and now, in this moment, in this body, in this place. So during this session, I'll lead you through a guided meditation practice, and at some point I'll ask you to pause your video player and simply do the practice by yourself for a couple of minutes, and then come back to the video. And in addition to this guided meditation practice, you can find some written resources on onehumanjourney.com, where you can use your mobile phone and download the One Human Journey app, and you'll find more guided meditations, tips on establishing a regular meditation practice, and additional resources on learning to meditate. So let's get started. You can think of this practice in terms of three simple building blocks: body, breath, and mind. So the first part of the practice is in terms of how we work with our body. So if you can do this practice either sitting on the floor or sitting in a chair, it doesn't really matter. Whatever is more comfortable for you. I happen to be sitting on the floor right now, and I'm using a yoga block to raise my hips a little bit so that I can be more upright with my spine. It's typically better if when you sit in meditation, your hips are either at the same level or slightly above your knees if you're sitting on the floor. And if you're sitting in a chair, bring yourself towards the front of your chair so that you're not leaning back or slouching, but you can be simply upright. You can imagine that it's as if there's a string attached to the top of your head, and it's gently pulling your spine upright so that the back of your neck can lengthen, and you can allow your spine to simply be straight but in a relaxed way. Let your arms fall simply by your side, and then just raise your forearms and let your palms fall wherever they are on your thighs, so that they're neither too far forward or too far back, and this will help your shoulders and your back relax during the practice. During this particular type of meditation, we keep our eyes open, but we direct our gaze slightly downward, perhaps 3 or 4 feet in front of us, so that we're bringing in the field of vision slightly, but we're not closing off the vision altogether, because the point of this practice is really to be here and now with whatever is happening in all of our sensory experience, whether it's the sounds we hear, the sensations we feel in our body, the thoughts that pass through our minds, or the things that we see. So we rein in our field of vision, but we don't close it out altogether, and we let our gaze be soft. Normally what we do as humans is we look at things so intensely it's as if we're boring a hole through them with our laser vision. And here we want to just let that relax so that our eyes can be soft, not particularly staring at anything, but simply aware of the space in front of us. And one additional point, it helps if you tuck your chin in just a little bit so that, again, you allow the back of your vertebrae on your neck to lengthen. And if you can allow the tip of your tongue to simply touch the top of your mouth, close to where it meets your teeth, that allows you to have less saliva generated during the meditation practice, so you'll be swallowing less, and that is one less thing to distract you from the practice. And simply breathe through your nose. So that's the second part of the practice, is breath. There are many different things that you could meditate on in this type of shamatha practice. There is shamatha with an external object. There's shamatha where you're counting the breath. Many different types of shamatha. In this particular case, the object that we work with is the breath. We're not particularly trying to breathe in any certain way here, simply paying attention to the sensations of the breath as we sit in meditation, however we happen to be breathing right now. So at this point, I'm going to ask you to pause your video player and simply sit in your meditation posture and do the practice for a couple of minutes, paying attention to the physical sensations of your body as you breathe, and simply pay attention to whatever sensations come and go. And I'll see you in a moment. So, welcome back. I'm assuming you paused your video player for a moment and you actually tried out the practice for a few moments. And one thing you may have noticed as you sat and you paid attention to your breath in this practice is that your mind wandered. So that's the third part of the practice, is how we work with our minds in meditation. Of course, you may have noticed, as almost every meditator who's ever sat down to do this practice has done, that the mind seems to have a mind of its own. And when you sit down to meditate and focus your mind on the breath, you find yourself thinking about anything except the breath. You're thinking about what you had for breakfast this morning, what you're planning to have for dinner tonight, reliving the conversation you had with your lover or your boss, fantasizing about the future, hoping, scheming, dreaming, planning, anything and everything except being in the present moment. And actually, for a lot of beginning meditators, this can be very disheartening, because sometimes it's only when we sit down for the first time and we actually try to be still and we look at our minds that we realize how busy and distracted they actually are. And that can be disheartening. And sometimes people give up because they sit down and they see that experience and they think, oh, well, I just can't meditate. Other people might be able to do this, but not me. So don't let that be you. Don't give up. If you see your mind is very distracted in meditation, welcome to the club. You're just like every other person who's ever sat down to meditate. And that's why we call it practice. So that's basically it. Those are the three parts of the meditation practice that you should remember. Taking a proper posture when you sit down, because the mind and the body are very connected. So establishing a proper meditation posture is important for establishing the right kind of mindset in meditation, because the mind reflects the state of the body. So if you're slouching and dull in your posture, your mind is going to be slouching and dull as well. Or if you're too rigid in your posture, the mind is going to be uptight and agitated. So we try to find a natural balance between the two. And then gently working with your breath, paying attention to the sensations of your breath as it enters and leaves your nostrils, or in the rising and falling of your abdomen. Wherever the sensations are most felt for you in your body, just simply pay attention to that. And then whatever happens with your mind, simply keep coming back to the breath. Whatever thoughts, fantasies, emotions may come up and carry you away from the practice is simply coming back to the present moment, to being here, to being right now, to being with the breath and whatever sensations are happening here and now. If you notice a pain in your knee or your back, you might shift around if you need to, but simply, first of all, notice it, and just notice what's happening in your experience. And I've been doing this practice for about 12 years, and every time I do it, I continue to discover new depths, and it's always a new experience. And I really never know what kind of mind I'm going to encounter when I sit down to do the practice. Some days I think, oh, I don't want to meditate right now, and then I sit down and I have a really wonderful meditation experience. And other days I think I'm completely prepared for it, and I sit down and I'm anywhere except here for the entire meditation practice. So it's best if you can do the practice without any expectations, and be very gentle with yourself, very forgiving when you find yourself distracted, because you will a lot. And simply keep coming back to the present moment. That's what the practice is all about. Thank you. And be sure to check out other videos on One Human Journey. There's a video for tips for establishing your meditation practice and other resources. I'll see you there.